Gonna do a quick walk around update video. This 2017 Polaris Sportsman 570 SP has one season of riding on it. We have 1,100 miles and 82.2 hours on it, as you can see there. So the 1,100 mile, 82.2 hour update, how it's done, would we buy it again? Let's give you a little details. This quad at the end of 17, which is why we bought it, was just over 7,000 out the door. So that was everything, tax, everything. Love the power steering on it. Love some of the other features that it offers with the dual A-arms up front and some of the other things that do come with it. I felt it was worth it, especially if you get it when you're getting a nice rebate at the end of the season. The power and delivery. So this is the smallest of the bunch many times when we're out riding, and it has kept up. Been through some puddles that you wouldn't think it'd make it through. It's been fast enough. It will top speed be in the low 60s typically, depending on, I guess, how big you are and what kind of surface you're on. So you'll usually see this go, at least in our experience, between 62 and 65 miles an hour. It's held up great. Has had no issues that have caused us to have to take it in or stall or anything. We've rode this in the mountains of West Virginia for a week. Northern Michigan, a lot of sand dunes and trails. It's done its share of at least moderate mudding. That's about as far as we go. So the power and delivery on it is nice for what it offers. It's not as smooth as maybe the 1000 or the 850. Once you get the hang of the throttle, you can make it much smoother, and it's not so bad, but it is a little more jerky. One thing that I would caution you, that if you know anybody or you see them on the trails, we've seen this happen a few different times. If they're turning the key and it won't start, there is a wire on the left side. You pull the seat off on the left side that connects to the spark plug onto the left side of the frame. Just make sure the connections there are in. These have a habit of popping loose. We've had no issues. The engine braking is a little aggressive. My wife, who rides this, says she loves how easy it is, how stable it feels. So, for example, there's something I don't like about it, but it does help in one way. And you can see down there, if you can see it, it's a little dirty, but there's a battery back there. Battery's hard to get to, and it's low. But this thing's stable compared to our other quads. When you take turns and things, you just lean a little bit. It has a nice, strong, sturdy, stable feel to it. It's been able to do most of the mud puddles we've all done, most of the hills, everything. It's keeping up really, really nice. I have no complaints with it as far as that goes. We have changed all the fluids. That's front end, transmission, oil on it. Those three fluids anyway, transmission, front end, and the oil 3 times during that time. So we've kind of been a little excessive with taking care of it, have had no problem. I changed the belt at 1,000 miles an hour. It looked, or 1,000 miles, I'm sorry. It looked brand new. Brand new, so I'm saving it as a spare. I changed it on my other quad, and it was a little more beat up. So I thought maybe this one would need it too. Nothing. The brakes have been great. The engine braking's a little aggressive. Takes some getting used to. But overall, again, once you get used to it, you love it. The shifting is really smooth, and what I mean by that, more or less, is the high, low, neutral, much smoother than my other quads and even other ones I've owned in the past. Easy to put in and out of gear. Nice. It does have a lot of nice features into the display.
Bob's working on doing an update video for this Polaris 570 SP. It's actually the machine that I rode, and so I asked him if he wanted me to take over for just a minute, since I have more experience riding this particular machine, and give my thoughts on it. We did take a trip to West Virginia this summer for our anniversary, and I followed him up and down the mountains of the Hatfield-McCoy trails, and he was on the 1000 XP. And this little 570 I called the little monster the whole time because I had no problem keeping up with his bigger machine. I do like how stable it is. I like the ease of it. It's a very simple machine. I love the lock and ride. We have the boxes that go on the back of it. So when we went on our longer day trips, I could put a cooler back there. We could run to the grocery store. I could bring something home to cook for dinner in the cabin we were staying in. So as far as ease of taking that box on and off and how convenient it can make the machine as far as expanding its storage, it does have the storage in the front, and it has a little storage compartment in the back. Now at first when we looked at this machine, I didn't like that it was down here. I thought it was kind of better to have it on top. But when you have the box on the back, the lock and ride box, it's kind of nice that it's in the back. I was taking my gloves or water bottles in and out of that little area in the back without having to take the box off the top. So I liked that as well. Just a couple little things like that made me like this machine. Of course, the price, obviously, being quite a bit less expensive than a bigger machine. I was a little worried that maybe I wouldn't be able to keep up with Bob on his big 1000 XP, but again, no problems up and down the hills. It did everything I asked it to. The only thing that I've had it struggle with is we took it up to Black Lake in Sheboygan, Michigan, and some of the sand hills, because of the loose sand, I don't have paddle tires. They are pretty steep. I don't know if I got too scared and just eased up on the accelerator or if it couldn't make it up it, but there was one hill that I either couldn't climb or maybe I just didn't have the nerve to, not sure which. But overall, it's been an excellent machine. Again, I love the stability. I love that it does everything that I've asked it to do. I've never felt that it was underpowered or underperformed.
So there we have it, the 2017 Polaris Sportsman 570 SP. I didn't notice a lot of difference between this one and the 18. I'm not so sure there's even going to be that much between this one and the 19. The colors even seem to be the same. They've made a couple things stronger, but you don't really, I didn't visibly notice it off the people I've run into with them. It's had one riding season on it. We've changed some things, didn't need to. Changed the belt, it definitely could have went further. I'd comfortably say this belt could have went another 1,000 miles, easy, as good as it looked. On my 1,000, no. On this one, yes. This thing has held up well. It's balanced well. Ride's not quite as smooth as maybe some of our other ones, but for the price, it really does a nice job. It does good on fuel, enough power. Struggled, and like my wife mentioned, at one point on a really fairly steep, really loose sand hill. The 1,000 made it up it really easy. It was steep and maybe a little scary at the same time, but this one did struggle. It's just she might have went too slow, who knows. But it has been outstanding. The all-wheel drive on this is outstanding. You put it in it, and it goes in when it needs to. That's been great. The auto descent control or active descent control, whichever that's called, the ADC, she used a lot in the mountains and worked flawlessly on this one. But very, very little issue. Other than the wire under the seat that some people have had issue with, this thing has had nothing. And 1,100 miles has been perfect. We've taken good care of it, but at the same time, I don't even know if we didn't, would it be fine. Been a great machine. Highly recommend it. Thanks for stopping in.